This is not a failing of the film, it's a failing of your expectations.
First off, I don't even know how to approach that. I feel like if you make the fucking film The Wolfman, which I've seen twice already, you have an expectation to make a fucking Wolfman movie.
It was a Wolfman movie.
First off, we'll get to that, because the thing everyone online is bitching about is that there's no fucking wolf in this movie. There's not a wolf in this movie.
Because the reason that there is not a wolf is because it is the wolf man. It is not the man wolf.
This movie disagrees. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Messed Up Movies Podcast. New Movie Monday. Kind of, as we'll find out today. We are joined by our dear friend, Sophia. Welcome. She will be joining us on our journey to complete Mr. Cream Jean's hidey hole. So while we had her here, we're like, you should come in and talk about the Wolfman. Because if you're going to beat and maim someone in public, everyone should get a lick in. That's the rule I found. So today we're talking about the Wolfman. As you can see, Heath will be playing the role of the defense, putting in more effort than the entire movie did with his wolf mask. All right, so for those who live under a rock, Wolfman, 2025, Leigh Whannell, he was coming off of The Invisible Man, which was a huge fucking smash hit. Not only a huge hit, just a fucking incredible modernization of a classic Universal movie monster, right? Invisible Man pretty much checked every box and was incredible across the board. Let me start here. Wolfman did not do that at all. Why remake the Wolfman if you're not interested in doing a Wolfman movie? That's where I'd like to start.
You're looking at me?
Yeah. Are you going to wear this the whole time? Okay, yeah. I was like, woo! Commitment to bit strong.
Oh, baby. Okay. Yeah. That was ill-advised. All right. But no.
So let's just state that you liked Wolfman.
Yeah. So is that where we're starting, just antagonistically, right off the bat? Well, we're not going to set up the movie at all.
Let's set up. You're right. That was uncouth. The objection is sustained. I revoke what I said. Go ahead, Heath. Set up the movie.
Well, the Wolfman. Okay, you did set it up to a degree with talking about the filmmaker, and he made a smash hit with Invisible Man.
Absolutely.
And they said, okay, let's take another shot at one of the classic Universal monsters. Wolfman it is. And I thought it was a successful iteration. And I enjoyed it quite a bit. But let's talk about the plot.
Okay.
So you have a...
This should be quick.
It is a simple tale.
Yeah,
I will.
It is a simpleton tale. Yes, I agree.
That's not what I said. Did not say simpleton.
Okay.
So the setup is we start with this prologue with a child. It's set in 1995. So first we get a scrawl,
which was beautifully shot. Like, I'm gonna give the film that. Like, we love the Oregon scenery.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
It's a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Sophia already agrees.
No.
Already.
We're going with that. But
If we're gonna start here, the opening 5-10 minutes of this movie, great.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like I was like, all right,
God.
we're getting a movie here. The opening of this movie was great. It was shot beautifully. They set up some really interesting themes. The whole deer blind with the fucking breath coming up.
That was cool.
Love that.
And the callback.
Love the opening.
Later.
Yeah.
Okay.
The callback reminded me of Pet Sematary, right? When they're like, sometimes dead's better, right? Just leave it buried.
We are getting way ahead. Okay.
No, okay, yeah. If we're gonna, I'll give credit where credit's due. The opening of this movie is wonderful.
See, this is insane to me because that's maybe my least favorite part of the whole movie.
Okay, I feel like you're doing a bit now. Like,
no,
we're caught
I'm
in
serious.
an Eric Andre.
I'm serious.
Okay.
For those of you who have not seen the film yet, the opening of the movie is what will soon be Christopher Abbott's character as a child, as a 10-year-old boy in 1995. He and his father are out hunting in the woods.
Yes.
And in the scope, the father sees what is not a deer and is potentially this mythological, they give it some sort of Native American
Well, they
term.
do a weird thing where it's a disease. And so a hiker has gone missing, got a disease, and Christopher Abbott's the one who spots him. And he's like, what the hell? What the hell? And then the dad starts like trying to protect him, and he sees it too, right? It's not a deer or a bear, as he says. It's this creature, right? And they kind of hint at that he knows more, that this is something the townsfolk know about and has been in this area for a while.
Right. In Oregon, a remote area. Beautifully shot, by the way.
Gorgeous, yeah.
And so they...
Sorry.
They retreat to a tree stand in fear of this creature.
Yeah.
Which immediately introduces some immaculate sound design.
Yeah.
The sound design in this film, some of the best.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to get to at a certain
point. If this
point.
had been a short film, give it all the awards. Like, if you saw this, like, in between bathroom breaks at a high-level festival, it would have been spectacular. I agree. I have no complaints with the opening of this film. Not a one.
I have a complaint. My complaint is the performance of the father. I thought that was pretty... Like,
he's fine. See, he's like a hill jack. Yeah. You know what I mean? He's not like an emotional...
He kind of reminded me of Alan Tudyk's character in Dale and...
See, but that's exactly who he is.
Tucker and Dale.
Yeah, Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Yeah. Right.
That's who that guy is.
I thought it was
though.
very, like, broad stroked, you know, like... Not nuanced whatsoever, which we eventually got to when Christopher Abbott and Julia Garner are in the film.
We did? No. No, I thought his thing, though, but like him and the son, right? When he's doing the... He's like really intense on his son, because they hint at that there was a mother who's gone now, who probably died, right? Maybe by a creature. We don't know. Maybe this creature was the fucking mother, for all we know, as we see later in the movie. So him being like, you have to know this stuff, and I have to drill it into you, because we are so close to death at all times. Death is always a couple steps behind us. I really like that theme. And I think in line with the original Wolfman, right, Larry Talbot, and even Del Toro, right? The Del Toro version of this is the biggest winner of this weekend, because we all kind of shit on that movie.
Wait. That was in Del Toro.
Benicio del Toro.
Oh, Benicio.
Yeah,
okay,
when they started the Dark Universe and they took
right.
the shoot before they made the movies, and everyone's like, woof, we're not doing this.
The one with Anthony Hopkins and Benicio del Toro.
You know what? No movie has won more this week than that movie. Because we all were like, this sucks, man. Dark Universe sucks. I went back and rewatched it. There is not a thing this movie does better than that. That movie kicks the shit out of this
So
version.
after this podcast, when you go back and rewatch 2025's Wolfman.
I rewatched the Benicio del Toro yesterday. I was so mad I watched both of the old Werewolf or Wolfman because they dropped them on Shudder. So I threw them both on. And I was like, you know what? Both of these are fun. This one has no fun in the whole movie.
What?
If I had a biggest complaint, this is the most fucking boring horror movie I have ever sat in a theater for. Short of Skinamarink. But Skinamarink's ultra low budget and going for a vibe, which I think you could argue it successfully did, even if you don't like the movie. Skinamarink is boring, but for an artistic point, I guess. This movie is just fucking boring.
It's not any more boring than Nosferatu.
Okay.
Infinite. Yeah, get in here.
Listen, so this movie, what I will say is, The Wolfman made me appreciate Nosferatu. I went into
So
Nosferatu.
much more.
Yeah, and I was like, this movie's too fucking long. We don't need all this extra
Agreed.
tids and bits. And now I'm like, oh, we needed all the extra tids and bits because we got half of a movie with The Wolfman. Whereas Nosferatu, we got an entire plot, beginning to end.
Okay.
No, the Wolfman left you feeling like you missed half of a movie you never saw.
Yes, as Dandino, my normal co-host, my Wednesday guy, right? You guys love Dandino. He told me his take on the movie is that it felt like we were missing 2 to 3 crucial scenes that just got edited out and not replaced with anything. And I couldn't agree more.
This is not a failing of the film. It's a failing of your expectations.
First off, I don't even know how to approach that. I feel like if you make the fucking film The Wolfman, which I've seen twice already, you have an expectation to make a fucking Wolfman movie.
It was a Wolfman movie.
First off, we'll get to that. Because the thing everyone online is bitching about is that there's no fucking wolf in this movie. There's not a wolf in this movie.
Because the reason that there is not a wolf is because it is the Wolfman. It is not the man wolf.
This movie disagrees. This movie, it is the man wolf. This looks like a guy you find as like a nightmare match on Tinder.
The Wolf Man. He's a man that's like a wolf. He's not a wolf
He's not wolf-like at all. He's just bald.
Come on. That's just silly.
How is
That's
that?
absolutely
I mean,
silly.
in Griffey's defense, he's bald with some sharp teeth and then some hair.
You're talking about-
Like I said, for those of you who know college basketball, he looks like Gene Cady with a comb over and sharp teeth. That's what the Wolfman is.
Is this like a fashion podcast? Why are we getting into
First off,
aesthetics?
Welcome to the View.
First off, I take great offense to you playing the naive podcast host who's saying that in a werewolf movie, it is unreasonable for me to assume that there would be a fucking werewolf in the movie.
Because it's not a werewolf. It's a wolf man. It's different. It's totally different.
What do you think happens to Larry Talbot in the first one? He doesn't just get bit by a gypsy. He gets bit by a werewolf and turns into a fucking wolf man.
Fine.
If in The Invisible Man, he's not invisible but just wearing a ghillie suit, that's not the Invisible Man. He might be hard to see. That's not the same fucking thing.
Okay, but why do we have to play the same beats of a movie that was 70, 80 years old?
I'm not saying it has to be the same beats. I'm saying if you're going to make a werewolf movie, you owe me a werewolf. If you're making a Ghostbusters movie, there must be ghosts with which to bust on.
And I feel like they hyped it up. They're like, we're doing all practical effects. There's no. I'm like, okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
I missed that too.
They
All
always
practical
say
effects.
that. They
And I'm
always
like,
say that.
Yeah.
But also,
That's-
like, it checks out because you didn't do any really effects. Like, you made a guy bald.
They probably
and
did. They
put
did
some
like the
hair on
one
him.
thing where the fingers grew.
fingernail, yeah.
It's like, so you did one practical effect.
The effect was Christopher Abbott's amazing performance.
okay.
That's all you needed.
Back
All right.
to the first 5 minutes of this film, we got more character development in the first 5 to 10 minutes of the film
Yes.
than we did throughout the entire film, I feel like.
Okay.
So I actually think this is a great point, and I've heard Heath's argument. The video I did for Slash Film, everyone who's yelling at me is like, "This is like a theater of the mind body horror movie," and I'm like, "Well, we just came off the greatest year in body horror cinema history."
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to go down that road, cool, man. I can show you 20 movies that came out last year that are
fine,
better.
but
Here's
judge the
thing.
movie for what it is, not against its peers.
I am judging the movie for what it is and what it clearly did not achieve. Here's what you're talking about, though, right? This is a movie that wants to be about a man more than a wolf. Fine. Body horror, this and that. There are two huge fucking problems with that premise, right? One is that whoever this casting director is, and I don't like to call for people's jobs, you got to practice. You got to get some reps up. This is the worst cast film
Oh my god.
I have ever seen.
A lot
And
of
here's the
people
thing.
turned it down, though.
Right, but they're good actors, right? Christopher Abbott's a good actor.
Garner carried
The
it.
young girl from Ozark, who still looks like a 12-year-old, is a good actress. They could not have been less believable in this movie.
What?
I don't believe for a second that is a couple that met, fell in love, started a life, had a kid, and are at the end of a rocky marriage. And I'll tell you the scene. The
Hold
scene
on,
at the end
hold
when
on.
she goes,
Okay, go,
You
and
know,
then I will rebuttal.
here's the scene I would say is like the failing of the movie. You cast good actors, sure. They do not work. They are not believable for but a second as an actual human being family. In the moment, and this is such a microcosm of everything wrong with this movie. The moment when she's going, I just can't imagine a life without you. I want you to stay. And you're like, yeah, don't believe that for a second. I don't believe you've ever. And here's what the movie does that lets you know how fucking lost they are. Is she's doing the first emotional moment in the film. They cut to that stupid ass wolf vision, and she starts going, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, so the one time that actress is doing something worth watching, you turned it into mumbling. You stepped on the only emotional moment in the whole fucking film.
Because you totally missed the point of this movie.
Did I?
Totally missed the point of this movie.
Did I?
Yes.
The only father in the room didn't understand the movie?
The reason that, first of all, she doesn't believe what she's saying herself. Because
Clearly.
they don't know if they're going to make it. Their relationship's on the rocks.
Yes.
This whole movie is about miscommunication. It begins that way in the opening with the father and the son. He's like, "You never listen to me, boy." You know, like he's not listening. There's the theme of the movie, and it's unfortunately muddled by what you set up at the start of this about the whole we have to protect ourselves, we have to defend our territory.
Sure.
That whole theme gets in the way of the real theme, which is this miscommunication.
Yeah.
And so we get past that opening prologue, and we are introduced to Christopher Abbott and his daughter now, who is approximately the same age that he was in the opening. They're living in San Francisco, and it seems he is a stay-at-home dad. And
he says he's a writer at some point. He's between projects.
Yeah. And so early we get this, it kind of reminded me of the Travolta thing in Face Off with the hand over the face with the sun.
Oh, yeah.
But they do this little bit where he asks her to read his mind.
Yeah.
She runs out into the street or something, and he not quite disciplines her, but sort of scolds her.
He grabs her arm aggressively, like, hey,
Sorry.
you owe me. And also, again, he's fucking right. Just like the dad at the start of the movie was right.
He is right.
He's right. Like, you're fucking walking on the icy thing and are going to fucking fall into traffic, and then you get down and a crazy homeless man runs up and accosts you. Maybe you should listen to your dad.
But to me, the point of the scene was we needed to distinguish him versus his father, because he said he was scared of his dad.
I know we should have said this earlier. Spoilers, all the spoilers. But yeah.
Right. Yeah. Now's a good time to say spoilers. But we're still in the because the reason that we need to say it now is because you're going to jump way ahead in the movie to prove your very weak argument.
This is insane. This is outlandish.
Anyway.
Are you going to take that?
I'm playing referee.
No, I know she's starting on your side.
No,
she'll be over on this side.
I have
by the
a
end of
hot
it.
take that I am going to be on your side of the table for.
Okay.
And I'm
all right, here it goes.
I'm sure it's not a hot
The
take.
railroading has begun.
It's not a hot take.
Did you guys set this up beforehand? That's fine.
Bait and switch.
Are you doing the hot take now?
No,
That's
no,
more
I'm
intrigue
saving
than
it
this
to
whole
my
movie
pocket.
had. That's crazy.
Oh,
Okay,
well,
go ahead.
I
Okay.
mean, I agree with
Anyway, so what we get out of that scene is that the father and the daughter have a special bond.
Yeah.
And that they are connected more so, and we'll find this out in the next scene when Julia Garner, the wife, comes home. She's on the phone. But in that scene, he scolds her and then apologizes and then says, hey, can you read my mind? And she says, I don't know, like, you love me more than anything or something like that. So we are to assume that this is a bit that they do all the time. And thematically, that is to tie these two together and that they don't have to communicate because they are on a wavelength.
Yeah.
In a way that...
I might shock you. I liked his relationship with the daughter.
Right.
That worked pretty well for me.
And because he's compensating for his relationship with his father. They were not able to communicate. We see that in the prologue. So he has made pains to make sure that his relationship with his daughter would not be the same as his father. So
the movie hadn't lost me yet by this point. I was still in.
So cut to, we are in their apartment, and he's making dinner, and Julia Garner just rushes in with his cell phone to ear. She's chattering away. She's a journalist. She's trying to make deadline on a project. And she might work for the San Francisco Chronicle, something like that. And so she is just totally immersed in whatever this conversation is.
Yeah.
And he asks her, can you do that in the other room?
Yeah.
That her communication on the phone is disrupting whatever their family time is. He's asked her many times to not do this. She ignores it.
Sure.
And so immediately we see that they have a lapse in communication. Or they are not able to communicate. So this is where this communication theme really comes in.
Okay.
Quite apparently. So now we are to assume that...
Okay, yeah.
And this happens in the scene after this one where he meets up with her at work and asks her to go out to his father's property because the father's disappeared, right?
Yeah,
and
now they've declared him officially dead and he gets the farm.
Right.
Yeah.
And in that scene, Julia Garner admits that she's scared to do so because she doesn't have the relationship that he does with the daughter and that she feels like the odd one out. So now we can kind of figure out that Julia Garner's character represents the father.
Sure. This begs a huge fucking question of the film. If you're going to make a movie, right? Because what you're saying, sure, I get all that, right? As a child of a divorced family, this is not what it looks like at the end of divorces at all, right? You're usually mad, fiery. You're about to fight over who gets custody and this and that. So this is a pretty fucking... That feels like your soul was starving for sustenance and you invented these bridges that did not work for me. It's there, but it's table scraps at best, right?
Look,
here's the
hold
big
on.
question of the movie. Okay.
Just one note. I do want to preface that I do not think this movie is a masterpiece. I'm not defending it on the grounds of it being flawless. Could it have done things to help their cause? I think so. I think that they should have leaned in more to this theme but it was muddled by the whole theme that you brought up in the beginning, the whole protectionist theme. It's even on the poster. I think the tagline of the poster is something like "Defend Your Own."
Yeah.
And so they're setting that up as the primary theme, which you clued in on immediately. But really, the true theme is this miscommunication aspect of it. So
Sure.
So they really kind of didn't do themselves any favors by mixing that up. So I will say that's a huge flaw.
What did you make of this segment? Did any of this family stuff work for you? Because I will say I didn't get lost in the movie and realize I was watching what would be one of the worst movies of my life.
At this
until
point in
they
time,
were in the fucking moving truck. Like,
The
by the
truck
time
is
they're in the
what-
moving van, you're like, oh no. Like, red flags start
too late.
emerging.
Yeah, it's too late.
But what did you make of this family dynamic in the film?
They lost me at the scene where he just randomly shows up to her job. As a female, if my husband were to just show up to my job and be like, hey, babe, I hate to drop this on you right now. We're going to my dead dad's property out in Oregon. I'd be like, where the fuck? It's my lunch break, bro. Like, I'm just trying
I was
to...
on my way to talk with
like,
my friends at work.
like, where's our daughter? Like, is she, like... I mean, I guess she's probably at school.
Yeah, you'd think. School,
Maybe.
babysitter, something.
I think that they set up a good groundwork for the theme of communication, miscommunication.
Sure.
Cool, we love that. But then, literally, just him coming in, and then when she was like you, to your point, where she was like, well, I don't have a strong connection with my daughter. We don't need, like, dialogue for that. Just show that.
I do think the dialogue was kind of weak.
The
It was a
writing
bit
was weak,
hackneyed.
to be honest.
It was a bit hackneyed dialogue,
Yeah.
but those two actors are so good. They overcame.
I'm not saying that they're bad, and I think a lot of people blame actors for poor decisions that happen behind the
not-
camera.
yeah.
They had no on-screen chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I get that they're at the end of a marriage and things have gone wrong.
Right.
It is not believable for any frame of that movie that at one time they were building and cultivating. Because that's the thing. Chris Abbott comes in and he is a ghost the whole movie. Yeah. So we don't get anything from him about, like, what was it like to meet him at 22 out of the military as a young writer at a bar in San Francisco? Was he just a sad guy still thinking about his dad? And we get nothing from her either. So we are missing crucial, realistic relationships touchstones that make that void more present. What it is just a lack of anything for us to give a fuck about.
Well, so here's that hot take, though. I think that Julia Garner did phenomenally. I think that if she would have had better sides, like better acting partners, and then maybe even better direction...
Wait, are you saying Christopher Abbott was not a good acting partner?
Not for her.
No, there was no chemistry.
Okay, so here, I don't even think that's I think she's clearly like a very talented actress.
Yeah, she's phenomenal.
And I think Christopher Abbott gives it a noble swing in this. I think the material just sucks. Like, it's just not dramatically interesting
I don't think he
ever.
gave enough. I don't think, like, being in that position, he was very, like you said, like, hollow, like a shell, a ghost. And I feel like he didn't sell, like, I have a dying marriage. I have a daughter.
I thought he sold the shit out of it.
Like, when he was like, I think if you come up to Oregon with me, we can fix things. I was like, there's no way she gets in that car.
Yeah.
There's no way she agrees to that. This, like, woman who's on the up and up in her career who can't even talk to him at the apartment is like, I'll go live in rural Oregon for fucking... like, there's no moment. And again, I'm not sitting here saying I think it's them. I think the script is terrible. And I think as a director, Leigh Whannell made crucial mistakes. And again, not giving us a moment of each of them having a good moment with their daughter and a bad moment together.
Wait,
there's no connectivity for this family.
You saying he made a mistake as a writer or a director?
Both. I think both of them are just so the layout and pacing of this movie is unbearable.
Mm-hmm.
Unbearable.
And this thing, I love Leigh Whannell. He's made wonderful movies.
Hold on.
So I think so many people in this movie are really fucking talented. It's shocking how little they got.
You've said it's boring
Yes.
and poorly paced.
Yes.
But you still wanted to spend all this time setting up
Here's
these
the
characters?
thing. If you're going to do that kind of a boring movie, right? You have to do that. You cannot make a horror movie that's trying to be this... It's more of a philosophical examination of the loss of self and body and animal inside, all that kind of shit, and not do that work. If it's gonna be fucking boring anyways, like scenes where you show me like the grandpa wolf running on all fours, which is one of the worst things ever committed to film. Like, he just physically couldn't do it, and then they sped it up. I was like laughing in the theater. I was like, this is so Twilight bad. Why show me that and not show me scenes that make the
You had
the
already
fantasy
checked out by that point. That's why you're keying in on that.
Well, again, the movie wants to be something more than it is. And if you just take it with Invisible Man, that opening of her escaping the hostile relationship and using that as a theme, right? That this abusive partner is a specter in every moment of this woman's life as she starts rebuilding is so strong. And it lets you immediately relate to that and feel the fear of that. This has none of that. I don't feel for this family. I don't feel for them. I don't feel for his dad. I don't know why she got in that van. So when Wolfman shit starts, and not even to talk about the moment where just the weirdest neighbor ever is like, I'll just get in the fucking car. There's no way she's like, this is cool. Just get in the like, that guy is so off-putting in the movie. And not in like a fun Texas Chainsaw hitchhiker way. Like, just, what was that fucking performance? Like, why was that written that, like, what?
Like, he was like, no, this is my property. Like, what was the point of bringing those characters to him on his property to be like, oh, no, you're in the wrong spot. Let me take you to where you really
and presumably his dad got by this thing. Like, there's no one left anymore because they've all gotten eaten by... So, like, are there, like, 20 werewolves up here? I mean, we don't see any fucking werewolves, so who knows, right? They could be everywhere, right? Like, the yoga mom industry just collapses under the weight of fucking werewolf survival guys. There's just nothing there. And that whole scene is so flat and so hollow and so boring. And him pretending like they're going to tickle their daughter from behind and shit, right? Or from the front seat, you're like, oh, God, no. Like, that's where it crept in, like, oh, they're off course. Like, they have no idea what this movie is or why I'm supposed to be watching it.
Everything you're saying, I do not understand one bit. It's like we are in the Wolfman, and like we have that like I'm seeing you through wolf vision right now. Like I do not. Everything that you're saying is like blah 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 blah.
That is so rude. Are you going to allow this, Judge? What the hell?
It doesn't make no sense. How is any of this a complaint? How?
What do you mean?
Okay, so your predication, right? If I'm to understand you, your reason for why this movie works for you on some level is because it's not about wolf. It's unfair for me to want a werewolf movie in the Wolfman.
When it's called the Wolfman.
Because it's about men. Not one man character in this movie, woman or man, has any fucking emotional connection to anything I would give a fuck about. And the only reason you put that ungodly, unwatchable character in the movie is so he can be the first one eaten.
That's right.
There's but he doesn't add anything. And that's the core of Wolfman, is here are boring, stagnant characters that will have no arc for the whole movie. There's not an arc in this movie anywhere.
He's not. Why spend time setting up who this character is?
Because
when he's just going to be a victim.
Okay, so here, let me start here. I just talked about this. There are 3 key elements to every great werewolf movie. They are undeniable, and you cannot fucking fail.
That'd be great if this were a werewolf movie. It's not a werewolf movie. It's a wolf movie.
It's called the Wolfman! I don't understand.
You were a werewolf mask coming into this, so...
Yeah, I don't understand.
It's Wolfman, not werewolf.
What is a Wolfman to you?
What they gave us. It's a man that has wolf-like qualities.
There are 20 of those guys at Planet Fitness down the road preparing for their post-divorce life right now. They are not cryptids. They are not mythological
with better
beasts.
storylines than what we got.
With way more infinitely interesting story. Here's the thing. There are 3 things you have to make a truly all-time classic Wolfman or werewolf or any kind of lycanthrope movie, right? First, you have to have a character that we either love, right? Like that was the great thing Lon Chaney Jr. did. He had the really sad face, right? Because they even said...
So does Christopher Abbott.
No.
Those puffy eyes,
First
like
off,
that hangdog.
Christopher Abbott looks like he's skated through on being like just kind of hot, right? Like he's got like too hot of guy that it doesn't work at all. He doesn't look like a guy who was born and bred in rural Oregon at all. Neither here nor there. If you go back and watch Lon Chaney Jr., he is an empathy machine. So when he is cursed unfairly by trying to save that woman from a fucking werewolf attack, you feel sympathy for him as he is being crushed. And the idea of the great life he could have, this new life, is taken from him unfairly. You have to have that in a werewolf movie, right? American Werewolf in London, right? Like an unfair curse has befallen you. And we feel sad at the loss of hope and future for this character. Or you go Silver Bullet, where it's a character who's a werewolf who fucking loves it and is weaponizing it against people, so that when we see the werewolf die at the end, or the wolf man, or whatever the fuck, the lycanthrope, it is beautiful retribution, right? That they get what they had coming to them, that they succumb to wolf and not man, and they must die. You have to have that. You have to have a world-class transformation scene. Have to. It's the key. It's the reason why every new Batman writer writes in the scene with Bruce Wayne in the alley with his parents, and every new Batman artist wants to draw that scene. You were telling us why your werewolf or Wolfman or Batman movie is important and what the flavor of it is moving forward. That is the seminal storytelling moment that tells us your take on the thing. Third, when you turn into the Beast, you cannot be a fucking fat, bulbous man. You have to look like a thing made by nature to remind us that we are prey. That for all of our modern machinations and our advanced technology, we can all still get fucking eaten when someone does not follow the rules of society. Now you tell me, does Wolfman succeed on any one of those metrics?
It doesn't matter. This is ridiculous. This is childish. This is, you brought up Batman. The Batman with Matt Reeves. Great film. Yeah. They did not feature a scene where Bruce Wayne's parents die. Was that like null and void for you? Oh shit! Well, they didn't have the scene.
No. But the difference is that I still got Batman constantly in that movie. Right now, if Batman never appears in that movie and we never do the alley scene, that's a different thing. Okay, that's what this movie did.
What you're doing is you're coming in with
take the point though. Are those not the three key elements of all of the best werewolf
expectations?
Movies?
You're saying these are prerequisites
if you're going to do
for
a
me to enjoy this
movie
movie.
monster movie, I feel like there has to be a there's things that you need to do.
You're coming in with prerequisites for the film. If this film doesn't hit these marks, then I'm out.
If you went to see Terrifier 4 and Art the Clown never appeared in the movie and there was no extreme gore, would you feel cheated at all?
Not even. Well, I mean, a
lot
of people felt that way with Halloween Ends, and I really enjoyed Halloween Ends.
Halloween Ends still had Michael Myers in it.
Tons of Michael Myers.
That's the thing.
There are tons of scenes with wolf-like creatures in this movie. What are you talking about? Look.
We just have to, okay, we won't keep battering this point. You have to tell me right now, when you saw those werewolves, you just went, that's fucking dope. Like a small part of you was like, that's cool.
Because that's not how I was watching the movie. I wasn't waiting for this like badass werewolf transformation.
But that's why you go into a monster movie.
But I was already engrossed in the experience. They put me in the shoes of the man who was turning into this other thing. And it was so compelling and so
Now
immersive.
I get what he said earlier about the wolf vision comment. I do.
We're in it.
I do just. We won't belabor this point. I do want to say for the audience watching, you cannot fucking defend this werewolf. This is the lamest werewolf, Wolfman, lycanthrope that has ever been committed to screen. This is worse than Teen Wolf 2. This is worse than that fucking thing in Harry Potter.
Christ. This is like Superman didn't wear red tights. This is basically the argument that you're making.
No. I'm not debating if Wolfman should wear pants or just go buck naked. He better be a fucking wolf.
Mm-hmm. Let's move on. Let's move on. This is just.
There's no way the audience will disagree with me on this one.
We still haven't even made it to the house in Oregon yet. We're not even in the truck yet.
This podcast is going to be 2 hours. All right. Let's. Where were we? Okay,
the truck and the tree. Where everything.
Great scene. That was not thrilling to you.
That is the lamest.
When he just like plops out of the thing and then he's like, "Okay, we got to get on top of the truck." Why would you leave the truck if you know there's something out there hunting you? And you have nowhere to go that's safe. Why are you telling your daughter to get out of the truck?
Because the truck is going to descend.
It never did. Later in the movie, we saw.
He didn't know that.
It never fell.
It did just stay up there the whole movie. When they came back as if that was supposed to be a cool moment, you're like...
The truck's still there.
You're like, maybe the plot and all the werewolf makeup's in the back of that U-Haul.
Open it up.
Yeah, pour that shit up.
Move that truck.
I loved the reveal of the wolf in the road that caused him to veer off. That camera shot was great. Yeah. That wide camera shot.
The shot might have been okay, but that was also the first moment you just went, oh, God. Oh, God, is that... Is
Okay,
that the
I'm
thing?
hopping over this side of the table.
That's
I thought
fine.
it was a cool shot.
I thought it was a cool
It
moment.
made me excited. I was like,
But
okay,
again,
we're gonna get a wolf.
you can't also be a guy that grows up in a rural area like that and doesn't know the key rule of that is you keep driving
That's fair.
forward and
That
just
is
run
fair.
the fucking animal over.
He said that he had been gone for so long that he left when he was like a teenager or something. Because
Sure.
of his fractured relationship with his father. So
Right.
they even
I
set that
moved-
up that he didn't remember where his dad
Sure.
lived.
But I lived in Los Angeles for 12 years too. You just don't forget your country upbringing.
Good God, these are such
I don't
nitpicks.
forget how to fucking drive in snow because I lived in LA for a while. Like, it. No,
There's
again,
something in the road, and you're not going to have an immediate knee-jerk reaction.
Not
to,
if you live
Not
in
if I'm
the
him who
mountains
saw
of
fucking
Oregon.
werewolf when I was a kid. What he's doing is he's like, buffet! He's turning the car over and telling the werewolf to come eat his kid. He knows what that fucking thing is.
All right, honey, jump on top of that truck.
Yeah. Get on that truck so we can eat you on a nice flat surface. No, again, that is a small nitpick. But it is one of those things. This movie is so painfully unexamined. That's just one of those things you're like, again, that's another moment that I cannot believe Christopher Abbott's performance, no matter how hard he's trying.
when people are, this is a thing in horror films that, are frustrating. And I feel like you're on the side of you didn't connect to the characters, so that you're going to judge them then for their stupid mistakes.
You are correct. If you don't relate to the characters at all you have left is to look at things that don't add up to you.
Right.
Because you don't have that emotional
But the
covering
truth
yet.
is, if you were in any of these situations in horror films where something comes out of nowhere and you have to make a snap reaction, you're probably fucking up somehow. And that's what really... I know, well, sure.
Not me.
That's what
There's
really
no
happens.
way I don't
I would not
survive
have
this
gotten out of
movie.
that
You
truck.
don't make perfect decisions.
Eat the body on the ground, take it, and then I'll wait till you're
in,
gone.
in panic, wild ass situations, you're going to make the dumbest fucking decision possible, right? And that's what these characters do.
Of my complaints of the movie, this is probably like 500th. It's not a big sticking point for me, the truck scene. It's just another scene where it's like, you guys thought this was worth filming? It's so boring.
Yeah.
It's so stupid.
Boring?
Yeah.
It's boring.
They're hanging
Here's a question.
from a tree for their lives, and there's a wolf creature out there that drags this guy's body out.
Go
into the
put
woods.
this scene
How
next
is that
to
boring?
fucking Jurassic Park's Jeep and
I
a
was
tree
just
scene.
gonna say that.
It's
not even close.
Yeah, no.
It's not even close.
We're talking about like a $40 million movie versus like a $200 million movie.
Oh, poor $40 million. How did they possibly survive on only $40 million?
You're comparing it to Jurassic Park?
Well, sure, it's one of the best movies ever. What I'm saying is, though, you can just
If
see
you're
the
gonna do the
scenes
trope
that
of
are
it.
fucking cool. This scene is not cool or interesting or adds anything. Here's what I'm saying.
Well, it gets them to the house.
Let's say this section of the movie, right?
How else do they get to the house, which is where the whole movie takes place?
Here's my question. So that section of the movie, from them talking to the hipster, to running off the road, to running up to the house, did no one stop and think that maybe, just maybe, having them, drive to the fucking house because he's not a fucking idiot and he just makes it to the house, and having him and his wife and his daughter sit in the remnants of his past life and have a moment there about this is where they're going to live for 3 months would be better spent time on camera to get us invested in the story of a family that is then beset by this curse.
Sure, but if you do that, you are like looking at over a half hour in, and you don't have a thrill yet.
Sure, but the movie never has a thrill period. So what's the point?
And we'd get more emotional attachment and more development.
Come
with
on,
the characters.
come on. You can quibble with the filmmaking if you're a studio executive and you're looking at greenlighting this movie.
Sure,
and you get to pay.
This movie's greenlit specifically because this guy did Invisible Man.
But
he has more rope than most.
Yeah, but he doesn't have carte blanche.
No.
Someone is looking at that and they're saying, okay, give me by page 30.
Sure.
A car accident, something to thrill us.
Sure.
And they delivered that. I mean, was that the absolute best choice possible? There could have been better choices. Sure, you could say that about any movie. Right. But there had to be something at that point.
He had a lot of rope because they turned in that creature design and got no pushback. Like, the worst decision I've seen in a movie in decades. And so he clearly had a lot of fucking freedom to make weird choices in this movie. And again, Wolf Vision, one of the dumbest fucking things ever added to a werewolf movie for no fucking reason.
No, there is a huge reason
What's the
for
fucking
it.
point?
There's a huge reason for it. First of all, when okay, he's scratched by the creature.
Yes.
And they make their way to the house. And then you do the whole body horror thing where he doesn't realize his injury. And then slowly he begins to transform. What I love about the directorial decision is to focus on putting the audience in his point of view. And we experience that transformation in a very visceral way.
Visceral?
You're looking at it in an observational way. The way that they made the perspective choice to say, first of all, okay, they roll it out very gradually, right? Like first he smells
I like the
something.
scene with the spider. That was an interesting use of like changing.
I think one of my favorite
faculties.
scenes. Yeah. And so his senses are suddenly heightened.
Sure.
And we're feeling that the way he feels it, and really kind of like studying that and spending time. And how is he slowly understanding what is changing in him, or even not understanding?
Sure.
And so that perception is spent time on and put right in the audience's shoes, or the audience is put right in the character's shoes. So the wolf vision is just an extension of that. And it hits on that communication theme, because then we see from a very like clear way that they cannot understand each other, right?
Sure, to a point, but let's take this, right? One, they step on two of the most important emotional moments and cut them off, which to me is just bad storytelling to me. I don't need the wolf vision for that. I need to hear these women talking to this guy they're about to lose. Fine. Two, even as a wolf, he still somewhat is communicating and understands with them. What you're saying, though, this movie has this, I understand, because he says that, right? As a dad, sometimes you become the thing that scars your kid. He fucking knows this. He's a survivor. When you do the slow fucking wolf vision rollout that he knows he's changing, he grew up in this area and saw Wolfman through his scope. Why did he not leave the fucking house? It's another one of those, it's just, it doesn't make sense in the world they're building.
He was a kid. He didn't know exactly what it was, and his dad was trying to protect
He
him
heard
from
his
it.
dad on the CB radio talking about it, telling him that what he saw was right.
Yeah, but how... I mean, do you understand everything that your parents are talking about when you're a kid?
No, but my mentally challenged cousin who lived next door attacked us dressed as Freddy Krueger. I still remember that moment. He chased us up a fucking tree with the two size too small sweater. I've never forgotten the images of that moment.
Yeah, but was your dad there telling you the whole time?
No,
it was a
my
bear
dad was
instead?
at the bar, so we slept in a tree.
Right. Yeah, but his dad told him it was a bear. So he grew up.
He knows it wasn't a fucking bear, and then he heard his dad on the radio.
CB
The fucking
radio,
hitchhiker's here. We got to protect our family. If he hadn't overheard his dad specifically saying that this is a...
And to me,
What
that
are
is
they looking for?
that is the flaw of the film, is that they used that scene to set up this protectionist theme.
Yeah.
That I just don't think.
Because again, if he is the guy who is like, I love my daughter, I'll protect my daughter, that dad would run out of the house. Every dad has had those fantasies about what would you do if it came down to you and your kids. The answer is always easy. You fucking fall on the bullet. You take the grenade. Let my kids go. You take me. That dad's not staying in the house. He's like, I have a cough.
Well, and like Julia Garner, like her character in it, she was just like, oh, like my husband that I don't even love, because we said that,
yeah, for
right?
sure.
Like, don't have really a strong connection to this man. Like,
we don't even
my
wordle
daughter's lives
together.
are in
Yeah.
danger. Damn, let me like take a minute to look into his eyes and just be like, fuck.
You know what I don't want to do is have sole custody. If you could not be
Right.
sick.
Am I able to get out of this
you are
and
not
leave
giving
the daughter
this
behind?
You are not
Like,
giving this characterization enough credit. What about the scene where?
I absolutely not.
What about the scene where she knows that he's changing and he has changed essentially?
Yeah.
And he's starting to have this struggle between his humanity and this new
Still humanity, yes.
This new evolving feral version of himself. So he snaps kind of like into that mode and aggressively comes up and right in her face. And he's trying to figure out whether or not he's going to attack her or if his humanity is going to overtake that impulse. And she faces him down because she wants him to know that she's on his side still.
Yeah.
That is a very like human.
She hasn't been in the whole movie, but now she is. Yes. I'm with you.
But she's shell-shocked through the whole thing.
Here's another thing, right? Even as a mom who doesn't like hanging out with your kid all the time, you don't put Christopher Abbott in the back of that truck with your kid while you're trying to do the battery. You don't open the door for him now that you know there's multiple werewolves outside. You don't open the door and let him back in. It just gets to this point of incredulity
but she is
that I can't watch the movie
signaling to him the whole time until at the end where he forces her to make the decision that she trusts him.
Well, the trick is the moment he spits his tooth out, she's locking him out and never opening that door again. They don't have this kind of relationship where it really matters to them if they lose each other. There's no fucking chance.
That takes all the nuance out of relationships. I mean...
No, it doesn't. Dude, me and my wife love each other. We've been together since we were in high school. I would throw her ass out the door so fucking fast and never think twice. See, because not only, you're not talking about my relationship, you're talking about me coming out of the bathroom and seeing her eating my children.
Which
That's
didn't
not
happen.
a debate.
Didn't happen in the film.
It was about to.
Well, I mean, where would it have gone?
Well, it went where it went. I mean, it went to where she had to make the decision.
As the only parent in the room, I'm telling you, there's no parents who will watch this movie and be like, she's just making justifiable choices. This makes total sense.
If that were my cats, like, absolutely not. I'm sorry, no man.
No,
Like,
you would. There's no fucking chance
door.
she tolerates this transformation. There's no chance.
Really?
Never.
Yes.
Okay,
not in a million fucking years.
I have a totally different perspective on
Never.
this because I went.
If it was two people, like on their honeymoon, maybe you can get me there. Right? Like, oh, we do have a future if I can cure him, whatever. Or am I crazy? You would never leave this dude in the house with your daughter when you've seen specifically that there is a fucking werewolf man chasing you to the front door.
And it just, like, it makes the connection and the relationship even weirder because, like, she already doesn't trust this guy. She already clearly, like, might love him because of residual feelings.
Wait.
But,
What?
like,
Who's to say she doesn't trust him?
Because he's a fucking transforming wolf man.
But Sophia, what you're saying is that she already came into this situation potentially not trusting.
Yeah.
Well, no, they
their
have no love
relationship is
lost.
breaking
They
apart,
assume they're not going to be together in 5 years. She's already 1 foot out the door, clearly.
I wouldn't say that.
Oh, 100%.
Tell me why.
Okay, so go back to the scene where he bombards her at work and ruins her lunch. And she's just sitting there and he's like, she's like, yeah, all right, I guess
we're going to
Oregon. Like, she's not like, you're right, we do have to fight for this relationship. She wants no
She's
part
a
of this.
workaholic. She's a workaholic, and she knows
I
that she's
understand
putting
that.
work in front of her relationship.
And she knows she always fucking will. This guy's not a part of her future. Probably one of the people in that scene she's already banging. That's how workaholics go.
You're bringing so much that's not even a part of the film into it.
If the movie leaves a void, I will fill it.
Oh, come on.
If the movie leaves nothing for me to watch or care about, I will start pontificating.
Look, so, okay, we all bring our own personal experiences into it. And what really connected for me in this movie was I went through a really extreme health situation.
Sure.
Where I had practically a transformation myself. All my skin fucking, crusted up and fell off. My face exploded, swelled up. I mean, it was intense stuff. I mean, I was like a burn victim. For months, and I think Lindsay put on a really brave face for me the whole time. But later, I found out she was scared as hell, and she didn't know if this was just how her life was going to be.
But she didn't think you were going to eat your dog.
But how would
she probably was just worried about your health and like making sure you would be there.
Of course, but I mean, I think that's what was going on. There's no way that Julia Garner's character would have known for sure where this went.
Lindsay doesn't fucking despise you like this woman
there
does.
Was nothing in
she
that.
She literally said, when he's like, hey, can you take that in the back room? And she's like, can you fucking not? That is specifically a tone of, I am so sick of your shit.
Because he's interrupting her while she's in the middle of working.
Exactly. That's
a
the kind
moment.
of passive-aggressive shit that happens when things are not good.
That's a reaction. That's in the moment.
No, she hates his guts, dude. I'm telling you. Come on.
All right.
Come on.
You're just adding stuff that's just not even
And again,
there.
a lot of things in this movie. Again, talented people everywhere you look. A lot of films is just the luck of if things work. These are good actors. They had no fucking chemistry in one moment in that film. So then I can't sit there and be like, well, maybe they loved each other. You know, it's not like that fucking
It could have
Florence
used
Pugh, Andrew Garfield movie where you're like, all right, she'd probably deal with
Right,
werewolf.
yeah.
Him.
it could have
This
used
isn't the
a
same.
moment of levity where they bonded over something, right?
But again, that's
you
the
didn't need
thing.
that.
They need something where you can tell that at one point they liked each other.
Yeah, there's
Because
no
he goes from
emotional-
haunted kid to haunted adult. And she's just like, I'm sick of your shit. I'm trying to get ahead in career. And there's nothing there. Her and the daughter don't talk until daddy's transforming. And it just never gets to that point where at the end where they're fighting, I don't care about her. I'm assuming they're not going to kill the kid, so I don't care about the fucking kid.
Yep.
I knew the other werewolf was the dad immediately. Like, that is
Oh,
the
sure. I
most
agree.
telegraph punch ever.
Right.
So what am I concerned about? I take your point of, like, if you've been through a body medical scare like that, that transformation of being stuck in your own world could play. Sure, I get that. In the context of this movie, it did nothing to help the themes that this movie needed to address. Right? Because again, if you're going to do that, he's losing touch with them. When he comes back to being more man, he's not able to do those things that like are those final goodbye letters. And him in the barn sniffing them and not jumping is not important. Him at the fucking deer blind is not important. You know what I mean? So if you're going to use that, I'm losing you and you're turning into Charlie Brown teachers, and I don't know how you feel about this. I feel like you got to have him when he has those moments of man again.
Yep.
Tie that bow for me.
They did lose his perspective a bit once he got to a certain progression in his
Yeah.
evolution, right? And now they're trying to hand us off now to Julia Garner, and
Which was a bad choice.
it was a bit of a fumble.
a bad choice.
I agree. It was a bit of a fumble there,
Mm-hmm.
but you didn't think any of those scenes were. What about when the Grandpa Wolf reaches through the dog door and pulls his leg?
Oh my god.
No good.
Okay, so on that note, 1 second. New to this, I have to go pee. I told him before I did this, like, I have the
Small
world's
bladders.
smallest bladder.
It's
They're
fine.
gonna duke it out. I won't be
It's
here. I'll get filled in. It's
That's
fine.
totally. She's going to throw up after hearing your arguments. No.
She's going to.
This has been real, guys.
Yeah. She quits.
Well, we tried. She's going to meditate on everything that I just
There's-
thrown out at you that you were unprepared for.
I was prepared. Let me put it to you this way. Nothing that any werewolf did in this movie was cool. The car was
They're not
terrible.
werewolves, Griffey. They're not
Okay,
werewolves.
I will not have this debate with you. They are lycanthropes. That is the genus of cryptid, which is you are bitten by an animal,
Sure.
you turn and take on their affectations. They are fucking werewolves, whether you like it or not.
If they were werewolves,
Some
then
versions
Moonlight
of-
would matter.
Well, okay, here's something I wanted to hit on, and I know Sophia will agree with this when she gets back. Here is a huge problem with this movie. Making this movie a one-night journey was a horrendous decision.
What?
Because one of the most important moments in any werewolf movie, and especially if you go back and look at the other Wolfman movies, right, that this is remaking, the moments where you go out and do werewolf shit, Wolfman shit, right? And you wake up the next day almost hungover, like,
Yeah,
what
right.
did I do?
Yeah.
That's where you get the moment to build these characters. And I do believe, to your point, Christopher Abbott would have crushed those scenes. And it would have been more of a realistic way for his wife and daughter to come to terms with what's happening. And this and that. I think having it take place over multiple days and them having to decide how do we move forward. The fact that this was one night and he never got to become a man again, I think is a terrible choice in the movie.
That would have been an interesting film, but we've seen it how many times before? I mean, this is just a different approach.
Because it works.
Okay.
If
So
you
you
don't
just
care
wanted-
about the man, the wolf man cannot
The
matter.
just
hostility
ex-
in this room
you
was
just
a lot
expected-
higher than
You
it
left
was.
and it was
Yeah,
so
I
nice
know.
and you came back.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. I literally sat down and was like, maybe I leave again.
You are upset because it wasn't the movie you wanted. That's what.
That's
this
not
boils
true.
down to.
That's not
It
true.
just wasn't a good movie.
It just wasn't good at anything.
The writing was okay. So also, I want to ask the question: do we think that it was a poorly written like script screenplay, or do we think that maybe in post production it got chopped up so much to fit a shorter? Because we just had Nosferatu come out, which was over 2 hours long.
No.
Do you think that they chopped a bunch of the storyline out that we needed?
What
for
else
it to
would
be
you do though?
effective?
What else?
Build characters.
Man.
The siege aspect of it. I mean, you could only go one way. I mean,
The argument that it
house.
should be more about man feels dramatically underserved in this script.
Yes.
You know what we should do? Why don't you give your observation, your arguments, because you kind of been referee. What if you're not referee? Just start lawyering. What are your things that kind of rubbed you wrong? Like, what points have we not hit that stuck out in your mind?
Or rubbed you right? Come on.
So the only thing that rubbed me right was Julia Garner. We love Julia Garner. She's fantastic. My biggest complaint with the film was, so I'm a huge, I love practical effects. Tom Savini is my freaking idol. If I had a religion, it would be Tom Savini.
I have a cameo from him, and it is the best Christmas gift I ever got. Thank you, Terry.
He's like the most fit 74-year-old. We're not going to even go into about Tom Savini right now. But I'm so huge into practical effects. And so I already kind of called bullshit going into this movie and then being like, we're only doing practical effects. But also I'm like, okay, like American Werewolf in London, can we do something really cool with the transformation scene? And then we got the trailers. Mm-hmm. Like, and I shouldn't have watched. Yeah, immediately.
And that picture came out of the albino hillbilly from Halloween Horror Nights, and everyone's like, wait, what's that?
What are we doing?
Wait, why is that guy standing in front of the Wolfman sign? You're like, oh, no.
No. That's the Wolf.
That's an uncool move, Halloween Horror Nights. You should never have done that.
Never have done that. So my biggest beef with this movie, as someone who loves practical effects and makeup and all that, is the fact that we didn't get a cool wolf. It's a universal monster movie. I want the monster to be the highlight of the film. I want to see this creature and I want to be like, whoa, that's fucking cool. I don't need to be scared, but I want to be impressed. You can't remake a movie like this and give us, like you said, a bald man with some raggedy fingernails and some teeth.
And again, that's what we killed the Del Toro version of, was because they just went full CG werewolf transformation and went big action figure werewolves, right? And we're like, that's not what this was.
I would have rather had that again.
Well, I mean, to be fair, yes, I rewatched it and it kicks the shit out of this movie.
Sure. Look, this was just a different approach. This was an introspective version of werewolf.
Okay, so I'm with you, but again, to that argument, it's an introspective approach that never introspects. Mm-hmm. Ever. The movie needed to decide which lane it was going to go in. Instead, we got a terrible fucking Wolfman movie and a really unexamined family dealing with a sick loved one movie, right? It does not serve either of those masters. And that's the thing. If you want to do a more art house wolf movie,
here for it.
Sure, I'm down for that. The man lost in his mind. He was like, how do I defend my family as I'm not going to be a part of it? Every dad has that fear. Every parent, I get that. I'm down for that ride. But then it reverts to, we got to also do this werewolf shit, and it is terrible. Them climbing onto that fucking plastic-covered greenhouse, I was like, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. And the grandpa's like, rawr, rawr. I was like, this is so boring and not cool. Nothing in the movie with the wolves works at all. So, again, to your point, fucking nix it. Don't do that. Just have him as a half transform, because he's not. The transformation's the whole fucking movie and nothing happens, right? His fingernails is like, Just do that version.
They also took the easy way out, and I'm not gonna, shit on anyone for how they want to make their films to make it more affordable, but we didn't get a transformation. We just got
he's on the grass
where he's a human. A scene where all of a sudden he's starting to lose his hair. A scene where now he's got teeth, and then another scene where it's
it was again one of the three pillars of every great wolf movie.
Transformation.
It was a gradual transformation. That's what you wanted. You wanted the money shot, and you didn't get the money shot. Sorry.
I'm just saying, if you're Leigh Whannell remaking Wolfman, the universal tentpole, trying to start his own fucking universal.
Can we talk about the movie itself instead of everything around the movie?
The movie is so fucking. The last 30 minutes of that movie is as bored as I've ever been in my life. I literally had a conversation with God, and I said, if I'm not going to dance at my son's wedding and hold their children, just have diabetes kill me now. I was so fucking bored. I could not stand another minute. And again, these are kind of the emotional critiques, right? I can't go through at a film theory level why every scene felt so excruciating. They had just made so many fucking bad choices that by the end, I felt like I was being tortured with this movie. I was so fucking painfully bored. I don't love Terrifier. I've never been bored in a Terrifier movie.
You're never bored.
It's not my kind of thing. It's not my kind of horror movie. But I'm never fucking bored. And to me, boredom is the biggest sin in any movie.
I'm going to counter this with an argument with a compliment for you, Griffey.
Yes.
It might end up being backhanded, but
It feels like it's about to be.
Already.
I'm prepared.
Already.
I think you are someone who watches movies in a very different way. I mean, your processor is so much faster than everyone else's.
I like where this is going.
Okay.
I'm ready to get snagged down now.
It's
He's
easy
lining
for
it up.
you to get ahead of a movie.
Sure.
And this is I will admit, I had a point where I was like, really, this is all we're going to do? But I slipped back into the experience and letting the movie take me for a ride. I think you have a difficult time doing that because you are seeing so many things at once and so many missed opportunities, and then it's just, you're off the ride.
Sure. To your point, you should let movies be what they'll be and not expect them to be something else. I do think that argument doesn't hold enough water, as Sophia has reminded us 5 times. You're stealing the fucking IP for a reason, because we're buying the ticket before this movie's made.
Again, and this is...
So you owe us the bare minimum
Can I
of
ask
that.
this? Can we... Okay.
Yes.
Order in the court. Thank you. If you were going into this film and the Wolfman was not a thing, like, let's just pretend like this was someone who's just like, I'm going to make a movie
love
about...
this thought exercise.
Great.
Okay. And you saw this film.
Yeah.
Would you come out of it being like, wow, you know what? I'm very thankful that I gave my hard-earned money to see this movie.
I am. I was. I will go see it again. I thought it was a very good movie. It has flaws. It's not perfect. But I was entertained throughout. And I felt like it was a mature approach to a monster movie.
We don't want maturity. We want monsters.
I thought there were thrills. See, here we
We're
go.
cheap seat fans, dude.
I am too.
I want someone to shoot a fucking t-shirt out of a cannon at me as I'm on my 5th beer, dude.
I thought the filmmaking...
Portrait of a wolf man on fire? What are we doing?
Look, I thought the filmmaking was impeccable. I thought the sound design was immaculate. The cinematography was great. The editing was fantastic.
Yes.
The acting was superb.
Okay, cool, but a general
It's stunning
audience...
what $40 million can do to get you the best of the best people.
Yeah.
And Leigh Whannell is dude, Upgrade rocks.
Yeah.
Right? Invisible Man rocks. That dude has made killer fucking films. And so people want to work with that guy. To your thought exercise, I think it's hard for me because knowing this was Leigh Whannell, I still would have been fucking pissed.
That's fair.
Right? If you take all of them out, like if this is someone, and we saw this movie at Genre Blast.
Yeah.
You know, knock the production down, multiple fucking grades, right? Like it's shot on a fucking red or what. I'd be like, wow, that's all right. That's something, right? Like I think I would appreciate the novel approach at that level. I think that argument
not for
falls out the
40
window
million.
when you see the fucking massive pool of talent and resources. I don't give you the same benefit of the doubt
I also just think
as guys like us who are just making fucking movies on a shoestring budget. If you're making a low budget, like a Tubi movie, which we are doing right now.
You
I would
judge it differently.
I would I don't fucking care about anything. Like, can you tell me a coherent story that I am mildly interested in or has like a couple cool shots? I'll fucking champion those films all day. You do not get that benefit at this scale. You have to fucking deliver. In the same way, what I do at at fucking pickup game at, you know, the fucking LA Fitness is applauded, not the same way as like when LeBron fucking gets 0 points. You're like, that's your job, dude. That's your fucking job. The Lakers are paying you. You can't fucking take it.
He totally did his job. He did his job very admirably.
Hey, the movie came out to theaters.
Is it
And
his
as
best,
Alex always says, it's a movie that employed people. You must applaud that.
is it his best film? No, it's probably
His worst film. It is undeniably his worst film.
it's Upgrade and
I'd have to see which Insidious sequels he did, because some of those are pretty fucking
oh, that's
raggedy.
right. Maybe he did.
But I would say this is worse than every Insidious movie for sure.
Upgrade and Invisible Man are superior.
I mean, just insane.
And again, this movie is flawed in plenty of ways, but it was a good movie.
It wasn't.
So your argument, see, I'm with you. When you said, I just saw the worst movie of 2025, I was like, this feels like the worst movie I've sat through since Skinamarink.
Since
which some
Strangers
people
Chapter
like.
1.
Which what?
Strangers Chapter 1.
Ooh, yeah. Strangers Chapter 1
that was the only movie that I was.
That was kind of a special hell, but again, I didn't expect any.
Yeah.
So here, to Heath's point, you keep making the same argument that I've had with people for years over Prometheus, which is it's not supposed to be an aliens movie. It's supposed to be a deep philosophical examination about the greatest question that we ask, why are we here? And I go, that's cool. I would have done that ride with you.
Right.
You can't do that and then write the dumbest fucking script of all time where the map maker gets lost.
I agree.
I feel like this falls in that Prometheus
No.
where it's like you're trying to make an elevated horror movie and it's so childishly approached from a thought experiment
I think it
level.
delivered. I mean, you do the classic straw dogs, no pun intended, setup where it's
I mean, they're probably equally as hairy.
Yeah, I mean-
The villagers in that, it was the 70s, dude. At least they had sideburns.
a family trying to survive a siege, an attack from the outside.
Sure.
And, you know, in the meantime, you have someone, it's like most good zombie movies do, which we frequently compare with these werewolf movies, where someone on the inside might be, you know, a potential threat at some point.
Yeah.
And how do you deal with that? Could that have been explored a little bit more thoroughly?
Yeah.
Yes. But I think they did everything that they needed to do in order to deliver the thrills, but apparently not for some audiences here. Let me ask you this, because I'm feeling like I did when I saw Joker 2. And I thought...
That's the other thing. He loved Joker 2.
I love
I still
Joker
haven't
2.
seen it. I'm gonna be
Okay,
honest.
you haven't seen Joker 2?
I have no judgment
I
there.
thought
I
it
love Lady
was
Gaga,
the
though.
biggest waste of time. It's the most masturbatory film I've ever seen.
Would you put this in league with Joker 2?
This is the thing. I think Joker 2 so dramatically outperforms this as far as trying to achieve something. What it tries to achieve is stupid and childish.
I heard the same arguments with Joker 2. How do you make a Joker movie without the Joker in it? And
it's a good fucking argument. And the whole, it's punk rock to make a Joker movie and then go, actually, the Joker sucks and I make my own movies. It's like, cool, dude, you were the guy who showed up for the orgy in Old School. And now you made a movie that was so successful, you get to do this. Don't turn around and spit in the face of the audience that has loved this character for so fucking long.
There's so many expectations that don't belong in the movie.
Right. If you're a good filmmaker, make your own fucking beloved character that you can ruin.
But also, we're in this weird resurgence Renaissance era with Universal monsters.
The problem,
Yes.
the problem is you can't make a fucking movie anymore these days without established IP. So you're in this weird...
It is a huge problem. But, like, the first new movie Monday we did was Werewolves with Frank Grillo.
Right.
And it kicks the shit out of this movie.
But it was totally independent. And it got nothing because it had no marketing spend. And
True.
it was just hung out to dry because they were doing their own, you know, everything with it. And so no one saw it. And it didn't have the backing of a Blumhouse or Universal. And without the IP, those entities that control what goes into theaters and what doesn't, those movies don't get made. Or if they do get made,
But are they-
no
I
one gets to see
agree
them.
at a higher Hollywood level. Sorry, I interrupted you. What were you saying?
I'm just saying, are they going to turn a profit on this with what they put in? And then what? Because I went and saw it on Friday night, and
Dude.
it was me and 10 people in this theater, and
Yeah.
all of us were laughing, and all of us had this stagnant
It's
air
going to
after
make
the
no
film.
money after
Yeah.
this weekend because it's just going to get crushed.
It's getting, and so
But-
ultimately,
Yeah, I don't know. I've purposefully stayed away from the chatter. All I know is
I
what
feel
I've
like
seen from
it'll
you guys.
make its money back. I feel like horror's been pretty bulletproof recently.
I don't know. It's been wobbly.
yeah.
There have been some...
I mean,
some
the new
examples.
industry secret is just make $1 to $3 million horror movies
Right.
and make a killing. This one being so much bigger. And again, here the thought experiment I do, because I agree with the larger Hollywood point, is that you need an IP to make stuff, right? Fine. What I think is so dangerous and naive and childish for filmmakers is to say that when I get to do that, I'm going to just make the dumbest fucking movie and try to claim artistship as a blanket, because what you're really doing is taking opportunities from people who are not established, and you're shitting in that well to where the next great Leigh Whannell will not get to make Creature from the Black Lagoon the way he wants and be interesting, so it'll be over micromanaged.
Okay, give me a compelling argument as to why this movie is dumb, and don't give me it didn't do the werewolf things.
Because here's the thing. It has 3, maybe 4 core themes. Not one of them is interestingly answered by the end of the film.
What are the themes? I only
So-
really identified 2.
Father So a father's balancing, right? Protecting his loved ones and becoming what they need protected from.
Okay, yeah.
That to me was the most closely, like that's the closest to being an interestingly examined thing. The loss of self, right? Loss of self within
Which is
yourself.
with anybody.
And without, within the own family structure. Fine. The family setup kind of negates that from ever getting where it's going.
I don't think that was a focus of this film.
Right, but it clearly is. That's what Wolf Vision is doing. Yeah. To your point, that is to show us this disconnect, this long disconnect. Right? There is this whole examination of, here's, in a nutshell, here's one of my biggest problems with the movie, right, is the dads become the monsters they must protect their kids with. Mm-hmm. So what do we see from Chris Abbott in this movie? He is a child who is traumatized by a father who's lost a partner, wants to keep him safe. Traumatized to the point they can't have a relationship. He leaves, joins the military, becomes a rat or whatever. He never talks to his dad again, it seems like, or sparsely. His dad disappears and dies. He goes back only to get the farm. Turning Christopher Abbott into the monster of the movie, who then his child must be protected to, is not the fucking character who should have been the monster in this movie. Because what do we see from this traumatized kid? Except for that he becomes a pretty fucking good dad.
Right.
And even if he's not a great husband, which is off camera, he's still trying to offer for her to come to Oregon, giving it a Hail Mary. So this good guy does not become what his family needs protected from, except for in this superficial, dumb way, that when he gets shot at the end, I was like, this is so painful and nihilistic and annoying and serves no fucking artistic value.
No, that's not how I see it, because the way that I interpreted it is that he is a tragic figure. So he made great pains in his relationship with his daughter to make sure that what he had with his father didn't happen in the next generation with he and his daughter, right? Now, Julia Garner's character is like the father. She can't communicate with the daughter.
Right.
So she is
But he traumatizes his daughter so much worse than that grandfather traumatized him at the start of the movie.
Not intentionally.
He's a victim. She saw her dad run in half nude and get into a bear trap and fucking bite his claw and crawl after him.
But he's a tragic figure. That was all unintentional. I mean, so he has had to sacrifice himself so that Julia Garner's character can become the one that changes.
Run out the door and try to save them. Again, it's just this is the problem of the movie.
He killed his own werewolf father. And
then what does he do? He runs back inside like, let me in, I did all the work. And it's like, you're the same thing.
He loves his family, though.
He didn't know it was his dad before he killed it.
Well,
everyone in the audience knew.
Yeah, that's true.
He didn't know until we saw the tattoo of the audience.
He was protecting his family.
Here's the thing. We're really just fucking throwing haymakers at this point. This movie, again, I don't take the case that you get to make an IP movie, and if you're going to try to do something...
Can I just, before you go there?
Yes.
Because I feel like you're putting a button on it, but I want to... I want to add...
I'm fine to fucking yell at you about...
One more log to the fire on why this wasn't dumb, and it at least made an attempt to have a point.
Sure.
And so the very last shot of the film is a callback to the very beginning, where the son and the father, young Christopher Abbott and his dad, are standing side by side looking out into the forest, right?
Yeah, they see the mountains. Very Lord of the Rings.
Okay. Yeah. So that's why Julia Garner's character represents his father, and they are in the exact same pose at the very end, the daughter and Julia Garner, mother and daughter, and she has the arc that Christopher Abbott wanted his father to have, where she comes around to see how she was inappropriately miscommunicating and not connecting with her daughter. And this experience has brought that arc for her.
Yes.
So she represents the dad in moving on from that trauma. And Christopher Abbott's character is the tragic figure who had to be sacrificed in order for that relationship to move forward.
Sure.
That is not a dumb movie.
I have to thank you, because in closing, you have brought me the most obvious argument with which to club this movie to death. This is by far the dumbest moment in the movie. Because what does Christopher Abbott say?
I'm not going to lie. For a second, I was like, oh, yeah, he's right. I'm kind of like, oh,
no.
She was drifting over.
I was like,
and I will immediately win you back with common sense. What does he say about this view in the movie? It's the kind of view that when you see it, you know things will be okay. Well, that's horseshit, because we saw the opening of the film where you almost got eaten by a wolf man. And you were so traumatized you had to run away from daddy. So you saw this view every day and knew things wouldn't be all right.
That's just hope,
You bring
brother.
your family back, right? So these two women who have never seen it, they see it and they're like, you know what? Things are going to be all right. They turn around to imagine that there's probably another 5 to 20 werewolves in this area. Their dad is still dead. The mom doesn't want sole custody of this kid and will probably lose her career to raise this kid. So nothing is right. The movie tells us if you see this view, you believe everything's all right, and then reminds us, this reminds me of the end of Malignant, right? Where the lady takes control of her body and cages Gabriel, and she's like, I did it. I won. And it's like, cool, you just killed 20 cops. You're going to jail and getting electrocuted to death. Nothing is better. You should have just let Gabriel have it. Your life is over. This is one of those movies that the next 5 minutes of this movie is insane. And
what
dumb.
a pessimistic worldview.
Do you think they turn around and anything is better for these two women?
Nothing is better.
Nothing is better. The view, that this is the thing. The movie says, look over there at that beautiful thing, and you'll know it's all right. While meanwhile shoveling shit into my mouth.
Okay.
While I know nothing is all right.
You just get the piss kicked out of you, and you're coming out of that situation with no hope whatsoever.
None.
You've
Here's
survived.
the other thing. Here's another thing that these movies just casually don't talk about. This woman and her daughter entire world is ruined. Because now they know supernatural beasts exist. That means there could be a god out there who thinks they're playthings. Every corner of their turn, there could be a fucking half a cryptid. They can't go back to work at State Farm after they
San
know there's
Francisco.
fucking wolfmen.
That's like saying, okay, we just went through a worldwide pandemic. Well, shit, there are diseases that we don't know about.
Are you telling me
I
you
can't
came
move
out of
forward.
COVID and have hope that we'll do a good job moving forward?
You have to. Are you kidding me?
When COVID happened, and I don't know about you, when COVID happened, I looked and I said, oh, we're all going down.
We're fucked.
Like, before long, some real flu's going to come down, and some fucking giant fat guy in a big-ass truck is going to say, not on my watch, and we're all going to die because of that. We're not making it when the real
We're all
pandemic
going
comes.
to die?
Okay,
Some
so
of
I'm
us will
not
I'm
die.
just
Really on
saying,
your side.
COVID reminded me how fucking insane and stupid
Yes.
and small-minded we've become.
We
There's
are.
no way we're going to make it.
But that doesn't mean that we are doomed.
Well, inherently, our entire species is doomed. It's an inevitability. There's no way we win this game. We just try to play as long and as well as we can.
Great.
And I think we have
Okay.
learned that we're not doing a good job of that.
So you don't think those characters are capable of doing that? I mean,
What is
to
the little girl gonna
survive.
do? Is she gonna go to therapy and be like, my
The
dad
best
became a
version of this
werewolf?
movie is they go back to the house and start G.I. Jane training and just fucking maim anything that comes
How
to that
many
house.
people do you know that experienced unimaginable trauma in their childhood and have come out on the other side and have become
Not
parents
a fucking
themselves?
wolf, man.
Good point.
Well,
Like, what-
sure.
Good point.
Okay.
Dahmer's like, my mom didn't read me stories and ate like all these people. That's,
They live in San Francisco. If they can get back there, I think they're pretty safe from the Oregon wolf people. That
But then
are
they
in
have
the
to
hills.
know there's wolf
Just
people.
down the coast. It's just down the coast.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's the other dumb thing about this movie is once the wolves turn, they never unturn. And from just a scratch, you can turn. These things are following them out, and we're all dead as a species. The movie Werewolves with Frank Grillo, this is the origin of it.
It's also a horror movie. Typically,
Yeah.
horror films end on
A bit of nihilism.
Yes,
yeah.
a bit of nihilism.
Monsters and evil can never truly be slain. I agree. The people who defend this movie, yourself included, I think you made a really compelling case.
Thank you. I think
I just
you're
think
correct.
I think under even the slightest bit of examination, the arguments don't pan out.
No, my take is that you had certain expectations coming in. They weren't met. You held a grudge
How
against
dare
the
I
film
want a wolfman in my
and
wolfman
judged
movie?
it unfairly, ignored all of the virtues. All right, speaking of virtues, can we go to messed up moments?
What was the most messed up moment in Wolfman to you, Sophia?
The most messed up moment. The fact that the daughter did not die.
Whoa! Okay,
Wow.
I love this.
That's an inversion.
I think
okay.
that would have ended that like generational trauma, and that would have been a great way to like end the story. Is like as she went to shoot her husband, maybe like he's like, oh, I'm not actually dead. Jumps over.
That saves the movie for you,
Dude.
Killing a child.
Yeah,
I mean, I would have been shocked.
when
I
he
would
had
have
the
been
head
shocked that they got an interesting choice in there by the end. I'm just saying, what if he just scratches her like,
and then she becomes
a little wolf
I would have
too?
loved just like if we're gonna put children in a horror movie, we can't just like carry them along. Like give them
It's true.
more of a plot.
You guys,
and she was,
you really were checked out by the end of it.
Oh,
yes.
I mean,
yeah, 100%.
could not. I was
on my
just
third
like,
vodka,
how
and I was
long
like,
till
yeah,
I
I'm good.
get this refill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't wait to get. See, this is the thing. I was gonna say maybe him biting his foot off.
That was dope.
It just felt so uninteresting to me. I think the fact that she's trying to change a battery loud as fuck in the middle of the woods. Like, it's just like, dude, there's no way you think this is the best way to handle this scenario.
What else do you do in this situation?
I mean, you can try quieter. Like, she just is closing doors.
Yeah.
Like,
she's in a hurry.
yeah, she's in a hurry to get fucking eaten is what she's doing. I thought that was outlandish that I was supposed to accept that. Or that when you're running from a wolf man, you're like, quick, onto that Vis Queen. That'll hold our weight. I don't
There are
know.
only so many options.
Yeah.
Okay. Messed up moment for me easily. And I
Okay.
think the best scene in the movie
Okay.
is he's just picked up his super senses, right?
Yeah.
And he goes upstairs. He's trying to make sure he's securing the house
Yes.
for his family. And he hears this banging.
So
that's
cool.
come-
Yeah, you
that's
think
coming from-
the wolf is in the house
Yes.
now?
Okay.
Yeah.
There's something in the closet upstairs in this bedroom, and like, what's in there? What's in there? Great, simple suspense moment. And he opens that door slowly. We're here. We're in his head. It's just nerve rattling sound, and the sound design is unbelievable in it.
Yeah.
And when that door,
Also, we're not concerned at all with how fucking huge that spider was.
so that's right.
It's huge.
The door creaks
At that
open.
point,
The
no holds
reveal
barred, like-
that that's a spider, and that he knows for the first time. Oh shit! This isn't right. I'm hearing the legs of this spider on a wall, and I think it's some huge
Yes.
like will kill my entire family creature that's hiding in this, and it's a spider.
Yeah.
like that is very unnerving and unsettling.
It's a moment of great visual storytelling because it's
And-
him realizing the evil wolf is in the house and it's him.
It's him exactly.
Yeah. I'll give you that. That scene was
Yeah.
great. We can end on a moment of agreement.
Yeah.
That was good.
Okay.
I like that
See,
scene.
you guys came over to my
Sophia,
side anyway. I knew it was
We
going to
love
happen
the
eventually.
spider.
Yeah. What
Yeah.
was your final, like, wrap this up for us? What, after this long conversation, is the half a joke?
The Wolfman is a shit movie.
Yes.
Heath had some great arguments. I will award you with that.
Very well laid out. I agree.
Arguably, I was about to mention the wolf mask. The wolf mask was the most exciting part of the film.
Heath tried harder for this podcast than
Then the
they tried
actual
making
Wolfman
the
has
Wolfman.
tried.
Yeah.
Griffey, I think, has won the battle.
Thank you.
Not because I'm biased.
Thank you.
You're biased.
Yeah, I am biased, and I will stick to that.
You know, some people just like to be on the right side. That's all
It's
that
never
happened
wrong
here.
to be right.
Well,
yeah.
you all tell us who you think won this debate.
Yeah, I love that you're
wanna
doing
hear.
this as a werewolf, like you're going to start this groundswell. All right, if you love this movie and Joker too, here is your prince. Here is your fucking prince.